Shalom. Most people are not missing blessing. They are missing the structure that would keep it. Be honest with me. Are you asking for blessing in a life that has no order to hold it? Because blessing does not enter chaos. It waits for structure. Most people spend their entire lives chasing what they believe will bring them peace, abundance, and contentment. Yet they wonder why these things slip through their fingers like water. The answer is not in the blessing itself. The answer is in the vessel. Stay with me, because once you see this law, you will never look at blessing the same way again. I am Rabbi Ezra Melech. For more than 40 years, I have studied the patterns within Torah, not as mysticism or religious doctrine, but as structural law. I have observed countless homes, families, financial situations, and personal lives. What I have witnessed is not dependent on faith or belief systems. These are patterns that repeat themselves with mathematical precision, regardless of what anyone believes about them. Order is not religious, it is structural. What I am about to share with you is not philosophy, it is not motivation, it is not a technique or formula you can apply for quick results. This is law in its purest form, as unchanging as gravity, as predictable as seasons. When you understand this law, you will see why your efforts have produced inconsistent results, and why blessing has seemed so elusive in certain areas of your life. The core law is this: blessing is not emotional, blessing is not random, and blessing requires containment. Order always comes first. This is not my opinion. This is pattern recognition based on decades of observation. Look at the very beginning of creation in Torah. What comes first? Separation, light from darkness, waters above from waters below, day from night. Boundaries come before life. Structure comes before abundance. This is not coincidence. This is design. Blessing does not create order. Order creates the space where blessing can remain. Let me make this personal for a moment. Once I was standing in my study late Thursday evening, surrounded by scattered books and half-finished correspondence from the week. The room appeared organized from a distance, but papers were mixed with unrelated documents. My prayer book sat beneath administrative files, and yesterday's coffee cup remained on the desk beside this morning's breakfast plate. Everything had its place, yet nothing was truly in order. The chaos was subtle, almost invisible, but it pressed against my chest like a weight. I began separating the sacred texts from the secular papers, placing each item where it belonged. As the last book found its proper shelf, something shifted. The air felt different, lighter. My breathing deepened naturally. I realized then that the blessing of peace I had been seeking all week had been waiting, but it could not enter until I had created space for it to dwell. That was the moment I understood. Blessing had been waiting, but it needed structure to stay. Think of blessing as water. Water is life-giving, essential, valuable. But what happens when you pour water onto flat ground? It spreads in all directions and is absorbed or lost. Water needs containment to be useful. A well, a vessel, a channel. Without these structures, the water is wasted, regardless of how pure or abundant it might be. Now ask yourself this question. In your life right now, where are you seeking blessing without first creating the structure to hold it? Be specific. Are you asking for more income while your current finances remain chaotic and untracked? Are you hoping for better relationships while your communication patterns remain reactive and unclear? Are you wanting peace while your daily schedule remains unpredictable and overwhelming? This is why effort alone does not produce lasting results. You can work harder, try different strategies, read more books, attend more seminars, But if the fundamental structure is absent, the blessing will not remain. It will arrive and then leak away, leaving you wondering what went wrong. Let me show you how chaos blocks blessing in practical terms. Chaos is not just disorder you can see, like a messy room or cluttered desk. Chaos is anything that leaks energy, attention, or resources without your conscious awareness. A disordered home creates constant low-level stress because your mind must process visual chaos every time you enter a space. This steals mental energy that could be used for decision-making, creativity, or rest. A disordered schedule creates anxiety because you are always reacting to urgent demands rather than moving according to planned priorities. This makes you feel rushed and behind, even when you accomplish tasks. A disordered financial system creates fear because you do not have clear information about your resources, making every spending decision feel uncertain and potentially dangerous. Disordered relationships create emotional turbulence because boundaries are unclear, expectations are unspoken, and communication happens through assumption rather than clarity. Each of these forms of chaos acts like a leak in your vessel. You cannot pour water into a broken vessel and blame the water when it does not remain. Most people experience chaos as normal because they have lived with it for so long that they no longer notice the constant drain on their energy and attention. They adapt to the stress and call it life. But adaptation to chaos is not strength. It is survival mode. And blessing does not enter survival mode because survival mode is focused on scarcity, on protecting what little you have, not on receiving abundance. When chaos is present, you make decisions from fear rather than clarity. You react to circumstances rather than responding from wisdom. You seek quick fixes rather than building sustainable systems. This is why people can work extremely hard and still feel like they are not making progress. The harder you work within chaotic systems, the more energy you waste. Order is not what most people think it is. Order is not rigidity. Order is not perfectionism. Order is not control over outcomes. Order is protection. Order reduces the amount of energy you must spend on decisions that do not matter, so you have more energy available for decisions that do. When your environment is ordered, your mind is calm. When your schedule is structured, you feel prepared rather than reactive. When your relationships have clear boundaries, you feel safe rather than defensive. Order creates predictability, and predictability reduces fear. Fear is the opposite of blessing. Fear contracts, blessing expands. Fear hoards, blessing flows. Fear assumes scarcity. Blessing assumes abundance. But blessing will not force its way past fear. It waits for fear to be removed through structure. Think about the difference between making decisions from emotion versus making decisions from structure. Emotional decisions are made in response to immediate feelings or circumstances. They feel urgent and necessary, but they often create long-term problems because they do not consider consequences or patterns. Structural decisions are made according to predetermined principles and systems. They may not feel exciting in the moment, but they create stability and predictable results over time. Where is structure missing in your life right now? Not where do you wish things were different, but where specifically do you lack clear systems, boundaries, or processes? Where do you find yourself making the same decisions over and over again because you have not created a structure to handle recurring situations? Structure is not about controlling life. Structure is about creating space for life to flow more easily. When you have structure, you spend less time deciding what to do and more time doing what matters. When you have structure, unexpected events become manageable rather than catastrophic because you have stable systems that can absorb disruption. The modern world teaches that flexibility and spontaneity are virtues, and rigid planning is limiting. This is partially true, but it misses the deeper principle. True flexibility requires a strong foundation. A tree with deep roots can bend in the wind without breaking. A tree with shallow roots will fall over. Structure provides the roots that allow you to be flexible without losing stability. In practical terms, this means clarity comes before income. You cannot effectively manage resources you do not clearly understand or track. Systems come before effort. Working within good systems produces better results with less energy than working hard within poor systems. Boundaries come before growth. Without clear limits and standards, growth becomes chaos rather than expansion. This is not about specific techniques or methods. I am not going to tell you how to organize your closet or structure your day. Those are applications of the principle, but they are not the principle itself. The principle is that life responds to structure, not to intention. Good intentions without supporting structure produce frustration. Clear structure, even with imperfect execution, produces progress. When you begin to live in order, something shifts inside you. Ordered people feel calm because they know what to expect and what is expected of them. They do not waste energy on constant decision-making about basic recurring situations. Chaotic people feel rushed because they are always responding to urgent demands and trying to catch up with responsibilities they have not organized properly. Discipline creates dignity because discipline means you do what you said you would do when you said you would do it, regardless of how you feel in the moment. This builds trust with yourself and with others. When you trust yourself to keep your own commitments, you feel capable of handling larger responsibilities. When others trust you to be reliable, they are more willing to include you in opportunities that require dependability. Peace follows structure, because structure removes uncertainty from areas of life that do not need to be uncertain. You know where things are. You know what happens next. You know what to do when common situations arise. This frees your mind to focus on things that actually require creativity and decision-making rather than spending mental energy on basic life management. Order makes a person trustworthy to life itself. When life sees that you can be trusted with small responsibilities, it offers larger ones. When life sees that you waste or mismanage what you have been given, it stops offering more. This is not punishment. This is wisdom. Why would existence give someone resources they cannot properly steward? This brings us back to the original question about blessing. Blessing is not a reward for good behavior. Blessing is not luck or favor from external forces. Blessing is the natural result of creating space where good things can remain and multiply rather than being wasted or lost. When your life has order, you notice opportunities that were always there but were previously invisible because your attention was scattered. When your life has order, you can respond to opportunities quickly because you are not overwhelmed by basic maintenance tasks. When your life has order, you can maintain what you receive because you have systems to support it. The people who seem to effortlessly attract abundance are not special or lucky. They have learned, often without realizing it, how to create and maintain the structures that allow blessing to remain. They have clear priorities, so they know what to say yes to and what to decline. They have organized systems, so they can act on opportunities without being paralyzed by chaos. They have boundaries, so they can protect what is valuable from being depleted by what is merely urgent. You may have noticed that some people seem to succeed easily while others struggle despite great effort. The difference is rarely talent or luck. The difference is usually structure. People with good structure can achieve significant results with moderate effort. People without structure can work extremely hard and still feel like they are not making progress. This does not mean that structure guarantees specific outcomes. Structure does not control results. Structure creates the conditions where positive results become more likely and sustainable. Like a garden, you cannot force plants to grow, but you can create soil conditions, watering schedules, and protection from pests that allow healthy growth to occur naturally. The law of order applies regardless of your current circumstances. Whether you are dealing with financial pressure, relationship challenges, health concerns, or career transitions, the principle remains the same. Order first, then blessing. Structure the vessel, then receive what it can hold. This is not about perfection. This is about direction and consistency. Small changes in structure often produce disproportionately large changes in results. Organizing one area of chaos can create mental clarity that improves decision-making in other areas. Establishing one reliable routine can create momentum that makes other improvements easier. Setting one clear boundary can reduce stress enough to free energy for creative solutions to other problems. The process is usually gradual rather than dramatic. Order builds on order. Structure supports more structure. As you prove to yourself that you can maintain simple systems, you develop confidence to tackle more complex organization. As you experience the peace that comes from having clear processes for routine decisions, you become motivated to extend that peace to other areas of life. Most people resist structure because they associate it with limitation or loss of freedom. But true freedom comes from having the foundation that allows you to choose confidently rather than react fearfully. When your basic needs and responsibilities are handled through reliable systems, you have more energy and attention available for things that matter to you personally. Structure also creates space for rest. When you know that important things are handled and will continue to be handled, you can stop thinking about them during times designated for rest or recreation. Without structure, your mind never fully disengages from worry about what might be forgotten or mishandled. The law I am describing operates in every area of life. Physical health improves when eating, sleeping, and movement happen according to consistent patterns rather than random impulses. Financial stability develops when income and expenses are tracked and planned rather than hoped for or worried about. Relationships deepen when communication and commitment happen through clear agreements rather than assumptions and expectations. This video is educational and reflective in nature. It is not financial, legal, or investment advice. Time changes many things, but this law does not change. You can observe it in nature, in successful businesses, in stable families, in lasting friendships. Order provides the foundation. Blessing builds upon that foundation. Reverse the sequence, and both order and blessing become unstable. The choice is always yours. You can continue seeking blessing within chaos and wonder why results are inconsistent. You can keep trying harder within disorganized systems and feel frustrated by the lack of progress. Or you can begin to create structure in small ways and observe how life responds differently when you provide it with proper containers for what you are requesting. Remember that order is not about perfection. Order is about clarity and consistency. Start where you are. Choose one area where chaos is clearly costing you energy or opportunity. Create a simple system to bring structure to that area. Maintain the system long enough to observe the results. Then apply the same principle to another area. The law of order is patient. It does not require you to transform everything immediately. It does require you to begin and to continue. Small, consistent actions within proper structure produce better results than large, irregular efforts within chaos. This is why people who seem to accomplish so much often appear calm rather than frantic. They have learned to work with the law rather than against it. When you align with this law, effort becomes more effective rather than more intense. You accomplish more because you waste less. You feel more peaceful because you have less to worry about. You attract more opportunities because you have demonstrated the ability to handle what you already have responsibly. This understanding will change how you approach every area of your life. You will stop asking, "How can I get more?" and start asking, "How can I properly contain and steward what I receive?" You will stop focusing on the blessing and start focusing on the vessel. You will stop trying to control outcomes and start creating the conditions where positive outcomes become natural. The patterns I have shared with you today have been consistent across centuries, cultures, and circumstances. They do not depend on your belief in them. They operate as natural law, as reliable as gravity, as predictable as mathematics. Understanding them gives you the option to work with them rather than against them. If this brought clarity to your thinking, I invite you to subscribe. Not for motivation, but for understanding, structure, and peace. The law of order does not change. Life and blessings simply respond.